Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lilkatz. Welcome to Communications from Home, my weekly evening live stream show here at Star Nations organization. Welcome, everybody. And it is a beautiful evening here in Tomo, Wisconsin, where I live. So beautiful that it's going to support what we're going to be talking about tonight, sharing about tonight. And that's all about how our dreams, certain kinds of dreams, can help us to create the kind of life that we'd like. Now, I started a brand new series last month in February about recalibration. And really, it's about reinventing or reimagining ourselves. And I had such a huge change in my life, big one, huge, that it's not even a new chapter. It's a brand new book. And so I'm bringing you along with me on my recalibration journey because I think I'm not the only one that is on this kind of journey at this time. And so I just wanted to say hi to everybody. Welcome to the show. And we're going to get started in just a second. I got to do just a little bit of something here that I forgot to do. And I think that's the one. Yeah, there we go. Now we know the name of the show and who I am. I'm Neshi Lilkatz. I'm your host and kind of, I don't know, almost like a spirit guide, I guess, on this journey. And so, yeah, dreams are a very popular topic, aren't they? Our dreams are dreams interpretation. And just sharing. Years and years ago, when I was just a little kid, um, one of the things in our family, my family, was about sharing our dreams. I thought that it was normal for everybody to be sitting around their breakfast table and sharing their dreams that they had from the night or the morning before. And it come to find out that not everybody did this. Not all families did this. I did this from little on. And the reason is because dreams are very important in the culture and family that I grew up in. My grandfather, my Misho, was the speaker of a Native American religion called the dream drum or the big drum. He was actually speaker to two drums. And what that means is that he told the stories. He held the information about all the stories about how the drum came to the people. And the dream drum really was about that. It was about peace, but it also used our early morning dreams to show us what spirit was trying to get across to us. And so I grew up with it. And so talking about it tonight is kind of like, if you can imagine, sitting around my dining room table in the kitchen and us having a cup of something and just talking about our dreams and recent dreams that I've had regarding the recalibration of my life. And so we're going to get started with that. All right. So I just want to say hi to a couple people here that are with me in the chat. Barbie's here. Hello, Barbie. Barbie, I know that you have firsthand experience in starting a new life after your parents have crossed over, right? Barbie spent her lifetime taking care of her parents, and so when they crossed over, I know, Barbie, that you and I have something in common with that. So I'm looking forward to your input. And look who else is here. Rob's here too. Good morning. Stretch, yawn. Yeah, that's it. Good morning. And Tabitha is here. Good to have you in the house, lady. It's been a while. Rob says, "Who are you?" I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. And I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. Most of us have had maybe 2, 3 years of huge life changes. Some of us have been through our Saturn return and went through that in 2017. And then, everything leading up to that huge change in my life. Then in 2020, when COVID hit, it changed everybody's flow of their life. And then in November of 2020, Um, my mom passed away, and I was her primary caregiver for about 9 years, and so, yeah, so that's what I'm trying to figure out, Rob. Look who else is in the house. Julie Shumway Hill, one of my good friends. She helps me with the academy too. Amy's here too. Amy is a longtime friend. Good evening, Amy. It's good to have you in the house. And look, Carol's here too. Hello, peeps, she says. Hi, Carol. It's good to have you in the house. And Jackie's here too. Jackie, it's always good to have you in the live chat. You always add something spice to the conversation. And oh, you can't hear me. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. I had to look ahead. It's okay. Rochelle got it all situated. She can hear us now. Now I can hear. Hello, hello. And I know you're probably grounded too, right? Rob says is asking her, try refreshing the page. Yeah, that always works, doesn't it? It does most of the time. Most of the time when technology works, it's grand. So tonight, within the series of the recalibration journey, we're using the tool called dreams. And most of us here at Star Nations, we've had lots of discussions, lots of chats about dreams and dream work, right? And what I'm talking about tonight are those dreams that help us to understand our present and our future. For me, I count 4 different kind of dreams, dream states, okay? And we have those kind of dreams that kind of help us work out our emotional experiences. And some of those are hard to understand. They kind of jump around all over the place, and they don't make a lot of sense. And but you can feel some strong emotions within those dreams, no matter what they are, right? Yeah. And then we have those kind of dreams that help us to work out our mental body experiences. And even then, those sometimes don't make a whole lot of sense. They're jumping around. And when we try to remember, sometimes it's kind of like catching smoke. We can only remember parts of them, and sometimes they don't make any sense, which is all good. It's all right because it's that time when we're asleep that our body does rejuvenation, right? And not just our physical body, but all of our bodies. So having those dreams are good. And then we have two, what I think are really important dream states. And the dream states that I'm talking about are when we are in REM, okay? And usually in the wee hours of the morning. And those are the ones that they feel so real that sometimes you even find yourself in the dream saying to yourself, this is a dream. Wait, I've had this dream before, or I've had this piece in a dream before. And then you realize that I can change this, right? I can rework this one. Those kinds of dreams is what I'm talking about, that we're going to be talking about tonight. And also, the last one is called daydreaming. For me, that is another dream state. And so those last two I think are very important and potent. And I think that it's important for us to use them as part of our toolbox, right? Our spiritual toolbox, so that when we are looking at making decisions or understanding what is this life that I am creating? What do I want to create? How do I want to create it? And so we're tapping into spirit and from our soul, and tapping into our spiritual team. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how we program our dream work. It's not as hard as it sounds. And really, sometimes it's more about remembering to do it than it is difficult to do. Right. So, just as a question for everybody that's in the chat, have you ever done dream work where you're programming your dreams? You're asking for specific help in understanding something or creating something, right? And so if you can share with me, if you've used your dreams in that way, that would really be helpful because I honestly believe that we um, learn so much more from each other than just somebody just kind of talking about it, right? Oop, I just want to make sure that we were doing good here. Okay, good. So let me know if you have used dream work. Programming your dreams is another way of putting it. Okay. So while you're doing that, I want to explain about daydreaming. When we were kids, right? When we were kids, we were always told, stop daydreaming, get your head out of the clouds, right? Yeah. Daydreaming is good. It is one of the best ways of using our energy when we are creating. And here's this. A lot of you may know Ed Langen. Was one of our show hosts here at Star Nations in his past show called Life Wisdom. And many times people would ask Ed and his guides, about certain questions about jobs or a different way of living kind of thing. And sometimes the guides would channel through Ed and say, try it on. Try it on. See how it feels. What does it feel like to you when you try that on, that new job or that new relationship? And what does it feel like? Okay. So here's this is that trying it on in my world means that we're using our time and our energy to daydream about it. What would it be like? What would it feel like? What would it look like? And so I am a big daydreamer. I really am. Sometimes some people call it mindfulness. when Paul will come up and he'll say, what are you doing? I'm staring out the window, and I said sometimes it is that moment of mindfulness. I'm watching, the leaves or the sunlight or something, and other times I am daydreaming. I'm just taking a little daydream break and feeling what it would be like to I don't know, to be camping in our RV in the middle of the week, because now that Paul's retired, we don't have to wait for the weekends. And what that would be like. Where would we go? How long would we stay? What would it feel like? Right? And so daydreaming is a fun and important tool in our creation process. And so here's the second question is how many of you use daydreaming as a tool for creation? Yeah. All right. I'm going to get back in and see who else is here. Deb's here too. Hi, Deb. Good to have you here with us. Deanna, she's here too. Good evening to you, Deanna. Rochelle says, I dream a lot. Daydream a lot. Yeah, I know. And it's good. It's a great tool. Deb says, I haven't done dream work. Oh, all right. Well, you know what? We're going to touch on how we can do that practice and use it as a spiritual tool. Yeah. Rob's saying, Amadeus practitioners have a dream stone for such things. Yeah, there are so many paths up the mountain and how to walk our earth walk here, right? Our journey. And Amadeus is one of them. And they have some really cool tools in there. But there's so many others. And I'm not telling you one way or another which vehicle to ride, which path to take. All I'm saying is that we have tools at our fingertips that we could be using. And however you would like to be able to use those tools, that fits into whatever belief system that you have, whatever spiritual belief that you have, right? Whether it is Amadeus or whether it is Catholicism or Judaism or big drum, dream drum, yeah, you pick the vehicle. And Rochelle says, yes, but not lately. Ah, okay. And Jackie says, many years ago. Okay. Good one, Jackie, because listen, are you in a position where you've been through a big change and I'm using my words here, the recalibration or the reinventing or the reimagining of what life would be like for you. Yeah. And Julie says, I have tried but haven't had much success. Oh, good one. We're going to remind me, Julie, that we're going to talk about that piece. Okay. Hey, Judy, good to have you here. Rob is saying, I fell asleep at my desk this afternoon and dreamt that Lawrence Welk was doing a tribute to Igor Stravinsky during the Rite of Spring. The Lennon sisters Oh, that must have been a fun dream. Hi, Sally. Sally's here. Yay, Sally. And Amy says, I've been asking for help from my spirit team in healing and taking care of my neck and spine. Comfort and no pain so I can sleep. So comfy, warm, bundled up. Daydreaming helps me get through each day. It's a great tool, isn't it? It is a great tool. Lisa's here too. Happy Tuesday to you too. And Deanna says, I dream a lot and many answers to ponderings come in. Haven't done much lately. Thank you for this. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So here's this. This is how I do it. Okay. And I've been doing this for a really long time, since I was a kid. Really long time. So what I do is after I've been, kind of in the quiet, whether you call it meditation, mindfulness, or you're in a relaxed state. It's probably the best way to put it. You're in a relaxed state. And you're asking your spiritual team, all those in the unseen that help you with your earth walk. They're spirit guides, they're spirit teachers, power animals, angels, all of them, okay, that are helping you. And we each have one. We each have a huge team helping us. And so you're sending your question to them. You're letting them know that you need their help. I want your help. I'm looking for information regarding or about, and you be specific. Okay? Be specific. Try to use positive words rather than negative words. For instance, don't say no, don't say not, those kinds of things, right? All right. So using positive words to state what you're looking for help with. And you ask them to please bring it to you through a dream. Now, it may happen that night. It might happen in a couple of nights. What you need to do is really pay attention to your dreams for the next 3 or 4 days. If you're just starting out, you'll want to take notes. If you wake up after a really, oh my gosh, what was that kind of dream? You may even want to get up and just write about it. It doesn't have to be in a specific journal unless you have one. It can just be on some, sheets of paper. Date it and then write. And I try to do my notes about dreams before talking to anybody. If it's right away in the morning and Paul's home, it's like, and he's talking to me, I'm going, and I saw, make the motion that I got to write. And so we've been together long enough that he knows what I'm doing. And so what I do is I sit down and I write out the dream and remembering the best that I can, the details of that particular dream. My suggestion is to even just write about the dream, even though you might not feel that that was the dream, okay, with the information you're looking for. The thing is that you're exercising a spiritual muscle. And so if you've made the request for the next 4, 3, 5 nights worth of dreams, when you get up, is just to jot them down. Sometimes we have more than one dream, and so you may have to write about, 1 or 2, sometimes 3, that you can remember. Anything you can remember about each one of those dreams. That is a way to get started. It's like priming a well, or Another metaphor, get you know, kicking the kickstand off kind of thing, or taking the training wheels. Eventually, what's gonna happen is you're going to start noticing certain patterns in your dreams. Certain things will mean specifically to you, rather than relying on somebody else or someone else's dream interpretation, right? For instance, a good friend of mine, whenever she dreams about high rise apartments or um, um, business buildings, for her that means that there's going to be a change in her jobs, whatever that is, whether it's within the same company or going to a different position. And so you start recognizing those patterns for yourself. Now, you want to be specific in what you're programming your dream for. Okay. For instance, when when I was looking at this was right after my mom passed away, right? And the grief and the mourning was pretty raw. And I knew I had responsibility here at Star Nations. And so I was talking to my team and I said, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. How am I going to get through this? What I'm looking for is some help in direction of what would be the best next step for me in stewardship of Star Nations. Right? Yeah, that's pretty specific. And so the next dream that I had was about um, putting everything on pause. Yeah, I woke up and I knew there was information in that dream because it was like, holy cow, that, that's pretty specific. And so I got up and I took down notes, and it was all about recalibrating, pausing, and yeah. And then so for probably about a month, I had about 3 or 4 dreams that had specific information in it about the pause and what I would be looking for. A lot of it was about feminine energy. A lot of it was about transformation. Um, yeah, and so just writing them down. And if you feel like it hasn't worked for you, sometimes it has more to do with our mental mind getting involved. And so sometimes when we do that, just write everything down of all the dreams that you've had in that particular evening. The next morning, sit down and write them out. Eh, No judgment, don't try to figure it out, and just write it down. Set it aside, go back to it later in the day, and read what you wrote. Yeah, yeah. See if that works, because sometimes the block or the interference is more about our mental mind that we're put. It's almost like what is that? Performance anxiety, right? That we place so much emphasis on our performance that we tend to block it. And so the more relaxed you can be about it and being grateful for whatever information that comes through, right? Because all of it is good. All of it is relevant. All of it is relevant. So it's good no matter what you get. And if you ever need help with the interpretation part of it, there's a whole bunch of us here at Star Nations that are really pretty good at it. And all you have to do is send us a PM, and we'd be happy to help you with that. Um, let's see. Oh, Jocelyn's here too. Hi, Jocelyn. Good to have you here. We're talking about dream work, programming our dreams, using our dreams as a spiritual tool in our toolbox to help us with our recalibration journey. Yeah. And we're even talking about daydreams. I think those are the two most important tools that we have when it comes to dream work, that can help us. Some of us are pretty good at daydreams. We've been practicing a lot. But with the daydreams, that is like trying on something, like what it would be like to have a different job. What kind of job, if there's a decision that has to be made. Do you take this job or that job? And you've been offered two of them, then you can put them each on, daydream about them and what it would feel like. What would it be like for you in those situations? And then gravitate toward the one that you brings you most joy, right? Yeah. The other one is, when you're daydreaming is, again, is to be in a relaxed state and not so much, in your mental mind, right? How do we know when we're daydreaming? That's a question I always get asked. How do you know when you're daydreaming? Well, you lose track of time. Yeah, everything else kind of falls away for a moment or two, sometimes longer than that. And you have a chance to be able to tap into, um, that energy that is your soul, because that is the part of you that is doing the daydreaming, right? And so when our mental mind is busy with trying to, sort it out, treat it like a problem or a challenge, and trying to find a solution, right? That's what our mental mind usually does. There's an old trick, about that piece that I don't know, and some of you may have used it and may not realize that it's one of those, we'll call it a hack, right? Is to get the mental mind busy with something else. Sometimes it's anything that's repetitive. Sometimes daydreaming is good when you're doing dishes by hand, or when you're raking or sweeping. Um, it also gets to involve the physical body, right? To give them something to do, that part of yourself to have something to do. I've known people to use counting. They just start counting. Their mental mind is busy counting, and your soul part of you is going to be, experiencing a daydream about something, right? Practice, practice daydreaming. What it would be like, if you wanted to, I don't know, make something for supper, or a new top, a new fashion that you might want to try. What would it be like? Things that don't make any difference whatsoever. There's no big, huge consequences to it, right? To get into the habit of daydreaming. Um, yeah, and it goes, it's more than having a, mindful moment. It's more than that, because you're pretty active in it. Um, yeah, yeah. So those daydreams can really be helpful in identifying something that's going to feel good. For instance, Paul and I, when we were going to be buying the RV, this was a couple years ago. And of course, we went to go visit RV dealers, did the tours through some of them. We made out the list of, a certain kind of floor plan, certain pros and cons of things, a lot of mental activity around it. And then what I did was I took some of that information and did some daydreaming about it. What it would be like, to hook it up to the truck and to drive. Where would we go? How about, some campground with a lake, and we're going to be on the lake. And what would that be like? What would it be like in the morning to get up, and maybe watch the sunrise over the lake or the pond? That kind of daydreaming. And pretty soon, what happened is that we found an RV that had a great deal on it. It's our very first one, so it doesn't have all the bells and whistles in it, but it is comfortable enough for us to really try it out and see, um, what is it that we want to change or keep in the upgrade, right? So that's what I'm talking about. So just going to check with you guys, see who's all has any questions. If you've tried daydreaming or, programming a dream and you feel that something that has worked for you as a tip, it would be really nice for you guys to share that with us. Or if you have a specific, block or interference with using these as a tool for your recalibration or for creating. Yeah. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to share something a little off topic. I wanted to thank you guys for all of the prayers and good wishes sent my way last week. I was not quite up to snuff. Yes, last week. Um, yeah, the Saturday before, I had gotten my virus vaccination, and I did the Johnson & Johnson one shot, and and it took 48 hours, 48 hours for any symptoms to show up, and it did, but it was not any of the symptoms that's listed for experiencing a reaction to the vaccine. My own one and only, symptom was dizzy. I was extremely, extremely dizzy, and that's the reason why I was throwing up. It was because I was so dizzy. Yeah, it was kinda like now I've never really been good at amusement rides, right? It's like getting off the tilt whirl and being dizzy times 10. I couldn't open my eyes. It's like so we ended up, asking for some medical assistance, and we got some really good assistance with that, and, yeah, taking a, motion sickness pill, and that helped a lot. It really did. But, it took me another let's see, that was Tuesday that it was so bad, and so that lasted about 48 hours, and then Thursday, Friday, it was more like high altitude sickness, if you've ever had that. And then my Saturday, I was fine. I was good to go. Actually, Friday, I was good to go. I was good to go on Friday. And so I just wanted to thank everybody for your prayers, your good wishes, wishing me well. And I'm just glad that that's all over. It's all done. All right. So let's get back to I also wanted to share a couple more things with you about, this recalibration journey that I'm on and sharing it with all of you is that I do believe that I'm not the only one on this. I'm experiencing it in my own life, but I really feel like there's many of us out there that are going through major life changes and wondering what do I want to do next or how am I supposed to do this next piece, you know? And so to the point where there's so many options that which one do you choose? How do you choose it? Right. So that is what Paul and I have been going through. Um, we decided that we were going to do this pause thing with Star Nations and experience Paul's retirement, which we hadn't done. He retired in October, and we were so busy with the moms that we just kind of blew right past it. And so now we're figuring out the daily routine and flow of our life. Um, and for those of you that have been in long-term relationships, Paul and I have been together for 40 years, and a lot, a good portion of our marriage, Paul has been traveling for his job. And so I was not the kind of spouse that was going to sit around and wait and be bored. If I was bored, man, that was my own fault. so, I did my own trips and did a lot of things that interested me. And then when we came back together, when he was home, we had a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. But now you fast forward and we're at home all the time together that, yeah, we're just trying to figure that out. And so we're taking the time to do that. We're doing really well with the grief work and the mourning of our moms, to the point where it's not as raw and um, painful, right? And so with this recalibration journey is really about what do we want to create and how do we want to create it. And so yeah. So over the weekend, not this weekend, but the past weekend, I finally made some decisions. Everybody had been asking me, what are you going to do with your mom's bedroom? It used to be Paul's and my bedroom at one time. And then mom moved in and it was hers. My house has 2 master bedrooms. So Paul and I are upstairs in the master bedroom, and then mom had the first level master bedroom en suite. So I had it all cleaned up. It's been very quiet in there, um, letting the energy kind of rest, and because I didn't know what I was gonna do with it. And I had so many people ask me what was gonna happen with it. Well, I finally made a decision is that I'm going to move this office space upstairs. I might keep the studio down here because it's quieter down here. But yeah, I'm moving my office space up there, which means that I'm going to be painting and doing. So, what I've been doing is doing a little daydreaming about what it's going to be like in that space. And yeah, that's my dream work that I'm doing is dreaming about that. And what is it going to look like? What is it going to feel like? What do I need in there to help me to be more comfortable and to be able to focus when I'm working, right? And I've been looking at doing that. I have put in lots of hours into Star Nations, lots and lots. um, it wasn't uncommon for me to be working at 11:30 at night, on stuff. And so with that, I'm gonna be making some changes around that. And I think it would be, like, way cool if I could work, like, 4 hours a day and get as much quality items done in 4 hours that would have taken me 10, right? So that's what I mean about daydreaming. What would that be like? What would I do? How would I do it? Yeah. So that is what the dream work that I'm using as a tool for my recalibration. Carol's got something to say. She said, I daydream about where we might move to, Asheville, Santa Fe, and I can't find a good fit. I have concluded that we will probably just stay here. John is not going to pack up his stuff. I'm okay here. I can't think of any place I would like better except maybe Maine, but I can't seem to daydream John there. I think this is my spot. Well, maybe it is. That's one way is to use the daydreams to figure out what's it going to feel like. And if you can't feel yourself there, you can't really put yourself in that space. Sometimes it's because that's not the space, right? So, if your current situation, home life, the space, the neighborhood, is it a house? Is it something that you want to keep the maintenance on? And if not, daydream about what it would be like if you stayed in the same neighborhood or city, but maybe in a different kind of building, right? A different kind of home, and see what that would feel like. Because there's nothing wrong with that, and if you're both happy and that's where you feel most comfortable, then why not? Why not? Rob is saying that's a lot of books I see. Paul's going to be moving your office upstairs. That's only part of the books. Um, yeah. The bigger piece, Rob, to move is the desk. That's the bigger piece to move. That's okay. We'll get it done. If nothing else, we'll walk across the street and ask some of our neighbors to give us a hand. Rob says, "How do you keep your daydreams from running away from you? From running away from you or with you?" Because there's some people that tend to daydream a lot for, like, a really long time. And sometimes they say, I'd rather be there than here. Well, then that's using it as escapism. And that's not really in a creative energy. You know what I mean? Um, and how do you keep it from running away from you? That's a good question. From you. I'm thinking about this one a little bit. So when you're daydreaming and you lose track of time, that's one of those good ones. Sometimes it does. I've never had a daydream run away from me. It's like, trying to grab onto it and it's not there. Yeah. I would take a look at what am I daydreaming about and why, right? Um, and put a little of the mental thought around it, a little form, not a lot. Because when we put a lot of form to it, that is our egoic self, our personality self that is doing the framing of it. What we want is to get into that in between space where our soul is the one that is doing the daydreaming. That's where we want to be in the in between. Yeah, just much like when we dream at night or in our sleep time dreams, we're actually in between, and it's our soul that is experiencing all of this. This is our mental mind self, our personality self. When we come up from that sleep state and we're consciously aware of it, that's when we do this. Holy smoke, that was important. Okay, that is the mental self that is doing that. And so that's why it's important to sit down as soon as you can is to write it out before you talk to anybody. Because once we start telling people about the dream and they start adding their understanding to it or their spin on it, we tend to start losing some of that important information. So that's why it's important to sit down and write it out as soon as you can, as best as you can with all the things that are memories. And sometimes it doesn't happen in a linear way when you're writing it down. So I try to keep wide margins and some space in between, the sentences, so that I can go back in and it's like, oh, that's what that happened up here, and I can write that piece in where it goes, or draw arrows there, kind of thing. And so sometimes, when we do the dream recall, it's not in such a linear form, that we have to go back and say, oh, that one piece, yeah, I remember that happening, but that happened toward the beginning of the dream and not at the end. So it's I like doing dream work. Like I said, I grew up with it. It's almost like, you kind of take it for granted because it's so much a part of your life. And so when I came up with this format for this month about what to share about the recalibration journey, when I got to this piece, it was like, yeah, but how much more can I say? Because we've had several shows about dreams. Some of you were following me when I was doing the Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday morning, Thursday morning shows at 10, and I do the card for the week. I draw the card. There was this one card about dreams that used to come up quite often in those card draws in one of those decks that we were using. So I've done lots of information about dreams through that particular show, which are still here in the videos. If you guys want to go back, I want to say it was in probably 2018 and 2019, those shows. We've also done magazine articles about dreams and magazine issues where we have information about dreams, not just coming from my perspective, but other writers' perspectives. And I'm going to show you 3 different ones, um, issues that we have DreamWorks in. All right. So Lisa's saying, trying a lot of self healing tools. Today's journey was Float Factor, 1 hour of meditation, music, and a pot of Epsom salt. Gravity reset my mind and body like being in a mother's womb. Yeah, that's almost like a float tank, you know? And I've always wanted to try that, the float tank. Yeah. Now that I have the ability to come and go, we just have to wait for those places to be able to reopen. So you did it in your own bathtub with Epsom salt. Hmm. I wouldn't mind trying that. I think I will. Thanks for sharing that, Lisa. It's a good one. Thank you for that. And Jocelyn says, my daydreaming is mainly in what's next, where I'm going to move. Yeah. That is a big life decision, right? And Jocelyn, why not use every tool available to you to help you make that big decision, right? So good for you. Tabitha says, when I'm trying to recall a dream, I'll write what I have immediately after waking. Then when I go back and reread it, more details will come to me. Well, that's good too. You're right. Um, yeah, and that's why I leave some room along the margins because I'm always going back and writing in more notes and that sort of thing. Julie saying, when I worked doing monotonous work, I would daydream and have many revelations, but I would lose it by the time I was in a space where I could work on bringing my daydream to life. Yeah, that's where that's taking those notes. Or here's one that may or may not be able to be used right away. But all of us, we have our cell phones, our smartphones, right? And almost all of them, including Androids, we have voice on our phone, so we can make short um, messages, right? That or the recorder is also part of the apps that maybe we do a voice of the daydreams, especially for those of us that, like Julie, you're in a work situation, right? Or be able to make those to download right away. Get done with the daydream, and you can do yourself a voice note. You know, uh, date, what the daydream was for, the intention. This is what I realized out of that daydream, and leave yourself a note. Yeah. I haven't tried that one. If anybody tries that one, let us know how it worked for you, okay? Julie says, just got a book on lucid dreaming. Ooh, yeah, those are good. Lisa says, no float factor in Madison. It is? No, I don't know. Do you know who Tammy Gullen is? She used to live in Wanakee before they moved, and there was a float tank it was kinda like a retreat place, and it was like a block from her house, and I cannot remember the name of it. But, thank you for that. No float factor in Madison. Good one. I'm gonna remember that one. And Tabitha's, I use my notes app on my phone, Galaxy Note with a stylus for quick stuff. I've also used a whatever I handy. No, me too. I've used napkins. Me too. So that's good. Good to know, Tabitha. Notes. Yeah, because I have an iPhone, so I use Notes, and I have also used the recorder, voice recorder as well. That one not so much, because I forget about it, but I do use the Notes one quite often for a lot of different kind of notes. Yeah. All right. So I want to share with you a couple of things here. Hang on. I want to get you a um, link. And so this is to Star Nations magazine. Mag Cloud. Mag Cloud has a lot of our back issues much more available to you than at Apple or Google. Okay, and this is the link to it. And in those back issues from Mag Cloud, you can either order it as a print magazine or as a digital, whether it's PDF or web viewer. And so here's the link. I'm going to show you 3 different issues that if it resonates with you, that you can always get that issue. This is the most recent one. This is the January 2021 issue. Okay, and in there are several writers who wrote about dreams in there, including me. And so you have um, from a different perspective, a different perspective. Okay, that was the January 2021 issue. That would have been issue number 92. Issue 92. Okay. And the next one is, don't you like that cover? Love that cover. This is the April issue 2020, issue 83. And in this one is a lot about spiritual growth. And some of the writers are writing about dreams in here and walking the path of the inner cartouche. Um, Orchun has a meditation that goes with this one, and so that has been that's really good, really really good. And so I added this one to this because that's about doing your inner work. And also there's other articles like releasing fear. Sometimes that's that trauma work that we have to go through with healing in order to be able to access certain kind of information, right? But we're all doing our inner work all the time. But this one's pretty good. And that was the April 2020 issue 83. And then the last one, this one is from January 2016, issue 30. And this one had a lot of dream work in it as well. Awaking from the spiritual slumber, unveiling your goddess. And I did an interview with Jewel, I forgot Jewel's last name. But anyway, she is something with palmistry. She's been doing that for like over 40 years. And so this I thought this would be an interesting one too. There's a lot of information that we've shared over the years here at Star Nations that I think may be helpful to you if you're interested in doing dream work and using that as a tool for your calibration journey. Right. Now, and that is at MagCloud, and MagCloud is our partners that help us to be able to do the print on demand if you want it in print. You can also order it as a PDF, and you can view it on any one of your devices. And if you really don't like to have that kind of stuff on your hard drive, you can also order it as a web viewer. Now you do have to use their app, MagCloud, to download and that kind of thing. But yeah, the app is free. The app is free. The magazine itself and digital is $2.99, and the prints they run anywhere between $15 to $20, something like that, depending on how many pages there are. But that I wanted to make sure you guys had. Yeah. Interesting. I was thinking, I was scrolling through the different magazine issues this afternoon, thinking, it'd be nice if we had some other resources that I know that we've shared here at Star Nations in the past, and looking at all of the 94 different covers, different issues, was a nice trip down memory lane for me. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, so I also wanted to share with you that, this recalibration journey for me is really about remembering that I am my soul, that and practicing it on a daily basis, multiple times a day, what it would be like to have my soul on the outside surrounding so that others experience me first as a soul rather than this conscious part of me, right? The personality part of me. And so I practice that several times a day. And and all the shifts and changes that come along with that. Honestly, because all of this is dovetailed together, okay, is that I'm thinking that that kind of work that I'm doing is helping me to be able to utilize the other tools in a deeper way. Yeah, in a deeper way. Because the last dream that I had, and I left my journal upstairs. The last dream I had a lot to do about how I can use all of the education, skills, tools, gifts that I came in with um, as we step more and more into the feminine energy and yeah, and using all of me into that process. And so that was the last dream. That was the last dream. I haven't had time to sit with it because that just happened 2 nights ago, and so I'm gonna be doing some more work with that. And I've been looking at information about Tesla and his work with the metaphysical. I didn't know that he used Kundalini yoga. Did you guys know that about Tesla? I didn't. Um, and how that played into his creations and new inventions. He was all about mastering the mind and nature. And he would go inside himself, dreams, daydreaming, and whatever he felt that he needed, he was sure that there was others that could possibly have that same need. And then he'd start doing some inventions around that. Yeah, I think they called him the father of the 20th century. He gave us electricity, alternating current that we use all over the world. Hmm. Tesla. Okay. So next week for communications from home, what we're going to be sharing about is about meditation, and how I use that as a tool for this recalibration journey. And then hopefully you guys will be here and sharing your tips about that. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to be talking to Julie Hedges on Saturday. On Saturday, we're doing a girlfriends chat, but I'm going to be asking her to see if she's willing to come on a show with me in April, to talk about using our moon sign as one of our tools in this recalibration journey. Yeah, and also we'll be talking about using card drawing with that and recapping it with the grief counseling as a tool. So we got those things coming up for you guys. Can't wait. Can't wait. I'm so excited about some of this stuff. And Rob is saying he also screwed himself with some unethical business practices, lying to investigators has consequences. Yeah, well, he was human. He was that. But he had a lot of good things too. Okay. So, I hope you guys enjoyed our chat about using our dreams to help us with our recalibration journey and how we can access those dreams as a tool to help us make decisions. And yeah, it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, your Tuesday evening, and you can join me again next week for communications from home. Same time, same place. That'd be 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Central, and we'll be talking about meditation next week. Yeah. All right. With that, enjoy the rest of your evening. Bama Mina. That's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Love you guys.